Hello and welcome to Hidden Existence. I hope everybody's doing all right out there tonight. It is, of course, as well, day 6 of the Bigfoot Odyssey, 168-hour Bigfoot expedition. And I can't wait to catch up with Kerry and see what's been going on overnight and today. But until then, I've got some great guests tonight. First, we've got Dave and Elijah from Bigfoot and More, and Cornell from No Such Thing.
No Such Thing.
A No Such Thing podcast. The links are in the description, and I'll post them up in the chat as we're going along. But let's get into Dave. I've been wanting to catch up with you for a while because I like your reports, your videos that you do on YouTube, and the stuff that you do. How did you get into all of this Bigfoot subject?
Well, you'd have to go back to when I was 7 or 8 years old. A good friend of our family, who was a veterinary doctor named Louis Stiles, he had been in the mid-'60s corresponding with Roger Patterson before the Patterson film, and was wanting to hook up with him and go on some expeditions, and it never worked out. But Roger had sent Louis a copy of his book, Do Abominable Snowmen in America Really Exist? And when I was a little kid, I knew exactly what place on the bookshelf that was, and I'd go straight to it. And I just became enamored with it. And then in the mid-'90s, I started actively, going into the woods and researching this subject, taking reports from people and such. So,
and your son,
been a lifelong interest.
Yeah, and your son, I guess, just been brought up with it, sort of.
Yeah, he's tolerated it. When he was a very small child, I would be out in the woods. Sometimes he'd be in the vehicle, when I was out investigating certain things. But yeah, this is the first expedition type thing that he's went on with us. So.
Yeah, well, you've been out to the Kamichi Mountains, is it? Kayamichi, I'm sorry. I'm a foreigner. And Cornell, actually, well, we'll come to you because this is weird. How was an Irishman in America ending up doing Bigfoot?
Well, I came to America like 21 years ago, and I mean, I've always been interested in, what's the word for it? Fringe topics. Like I joined a couple of cults and stuff way back in the day. I was always interested in I was brought up as an Irish Catholic, so, and I wanted to get away from that, and I traveled Europe and Africa and stuff, and I ended up in America, and I love the outdoors, and I love the outdoors in America. It's truly stunning, but I started I have an interest in journalism. I have a degree in journalism. So I was doing some articles, and I worked in a magazine back in Ireland, but, it didn't really, it was the time of the internet. So like magazines and stuff weren't doing so great. So when I came here and heard about the whole podcasting thing, I ended up starting a podcast, and I was just going to interview everybody, kind of like a poor man's Joe Rogan. And it kind of didn't work out so well because a lot of people came on and they had I had all different types of people, and a lot of the interviews were kind of boring. But then I came across a couple of Bigfoot interviews from the likes of Crystal Panic and Alexander Petikoff and a couple of others, and they really it really struck a chord in me. The Bigfoot interviews were the most interesting to me. And then over time, it just turned into, I want to know about Bigfoot. I want to get into the great outdoors and just concentrate on Bigfoot because I believed it, And then I just started searching and finding people like Dave and finding people like Kerry, really credible people. And I'm like, holy shit, this is real. So I started to go out into the woods and make contacts, and my podcast just became about Bigfoot. And then I actually met Dave through somebody posted Dave's video on Reddit, you know, and I'm like, man, this guy seems really credible and a nice guy, you know. So I watched his video, went to his YouTube page, and I'm like, huh. So I ended up contacting him and getting him on my podcast for an interview. And then the rest is history. We just ended up linking up, even though he's 2,000 miles away. I've been twice now in the Kaimichi Mountains, and I'm just flabbergasted by the terrain, the mystery of it all. And of course, Dave and Elijah are great guys to hang out with. So, I'm already planning my next trip down there.
Wow. Well, how did you end up, Dave? Why? What was it? What is it about the Kaimichi Mountains that you ended up going there? And we'll get into Cornell's experience in a bit.
Are you asking me or
Cornell? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Dave. Yeah.
Oh, how did I end up going down there?
Yeah. Why did you pick that place to?
Well, that's the highest concentration of alleged Bigfoot sightings in Oklahoma are in the Ouachita Mountains and National Forest, which the Kaimichis is like a subset in the the Ouachita mountains down there. And that's, if you want to go look for Bigfoot in Oklahoma, that's got the highest concentration down in southeast Oklahoma, which that is.
So that's why you went there.
Place to go.
Yeah. So when were you guys there? When was the last trip? Very recently.
A couple of weeks ago.
10 days ago.
10 days ago.
Yeah, very recently.
And so, what happened with you overnight? I watched your video, and I'll put a link up to that. I watched you trying to describe what you'd heard, and you seemed quite convinced. Well, I think you felt, Cornell, that it was possibly Bigfoot coming to investigate you, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, that whole day, and Dave and Elijah are both with me. We walked down to a place Dave calls the Bottoms, and it's very squatchy. I hate that word, but that's the only way to describe it. Squatchy as hell, and it's very beautiful. But I don't know if it was quiet when we got down there, or if it became quiet. But I remember it being deadly silent at one point, and then we went back to camp, and that whole night was just silent as hell, wasn't it, guys?
Well, you're talking about at night when we went down there. And the reason
even during the day it was like really quiet, if I can remember.
But what he's talking about, bottom, just like the second camp we stopped at was on top of we call it a mile. It's not mountains like Rocky Mountains. These are like eastern woodland mountains, rolling, rocky type stuff. But anyway, over the edge of that, you go down from our camp into this bottom land, creek bottoms. That's where it was. And yeah, it was, especially at night, it was, Cornell said it was like a tomb, just very quiet. And I had a parabolic microphone, parabolic mic, and you could hear something at the bottom of the other ridge walking like a person walks. And now my son Elijah, he can tell you about it. He was shooting some night vision and stuff, which I haven't posted yet. And tell him about when you turned around.
Oh yeah. So the whole time that we were walking, and I'm trying to stay in the infrared and walk behind everybody to get the shots, but I don't have a flashlight, so to not interfere with it. So I'm kind of walking in the dark, a few feet behind everybody else, which, with it being as silent as it was kind of unsettling. And I don't know if it was, play of the light or what, but I turned around to get a shot of like behind us. And I could have sworn I saw a face like kind of peeking out from behind one of the trees we just come down from around, and it freaked me out a bit. Yeah. Which is very feasible considering what took place altogether.
Yeah.
And then that night we were like, the woods went quiet. It wasn't like the night before. We didn't hear anything. We heard some peepers, like some frogs, but it was deathly quiet, and we all went to bed, and I was woken up at 3:30 in the morning to this thing I just heard these footsteps in the camp, just like stomping around the campsite. It was like, I knew it wasn't the guys, but those guys were snoring. One of them was snoring anyway. But I just knew, you know, it was too heavy. And when you go for a pee in the middle of the night, you're not going to make those stomping sounds. You're just going to, like, you know, shuffle your way to the nearest tree or something. And I instinctively put my hands on my ears. I'm like, this isn't happening. I'm going to go back to sleep, ignore it. And because I felt like I was just by even though the guys are right there, they're like 4 feet away. I freaked out and I put my hands over my ears and I heard my heartbeat just thumping, you know, as soon as I did that. And I'm like, what am I going to do here? You know, I'm going to have to wake the guys up. So I yelled for Dave. I'm like, Dave, wake up, wake up. And I took a couple of tries and he's usually a light sleeper. And he woke up and we all got out of the tents. There was nothing there and there was no smell or anything, which is puzzling. And I know that there's not always a smell, but man, I was scared as hell. Like when you're a kid, you know, I remember like having a banshee experience back in Ireland. And I found out it was just a cat in heat or something. And it was on Halloween night. And that's how scared I was back to like 12 years old. And, you know, I thought I would react a lot differently. Like I would be like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, if anything like that happens, I'll get my phone out and I'll record it. But I didn't want to make a sound because I was afraid of this thing hearing me, you know. And I feel bad about it because I went all the way there. And then I just froze in the situation, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you can't predict how you're going to feel. And then that's, you know, everybody says the same thing. Why don't you take a picture? Why don't you record it?
Oh.
Clearly, those times, hindsight's great, isn't it? I know when you said before, I know next time I go, I'm going to open the tent. I'm going to have a look. It's great planning it afterwards. But, yeah, I don't blame you for...
Yeah, the next time I probably will do the same thing. I'll probably freeze.
Yeah,
well, you know, people are real quick to say, well, if I was there, I would have done this. I mean, it's like any other situation. Situation like that, you don't know how you will react until it actually happens. But we went through first of all, I'm looking at, well, what's the possibilities it could be? First thought was a bear. And as Elijah was quick to point out, well, we left food out. I know you're not supposed to leave food out if there's in bear country, but we did. We had a skillet that Elijah had cooked our steak dinner and drumsticks and stuff the night before. It still had the cooking grease in it. We had an ice chest with meat in it. A bear would have gone straight to there. And plus, if you startle a black bear, which I have seen happen down there to some campers that were next to me once they're found out and you startle them, they don't be quiet when they leave the camp area. They make racket. Whatever this was, when Cornell let himself be known, it literally just melted back into the woods silently.
Yeah, there was no tracks or anything, but the terrain that we were in, it was like leaves and hard dirt. So
rocks.
Yeah.
Rocks.
I've just got to say thank you, Russell. And he makes a good point. And for him, in several instances, I've had run-ins. I didn't find them. They found me. And
right.
It seems to be, doesn't it? They're curious and they want to come and check you out. And I'm wondering, you know, if the guys down in Florida now have been having the Bigfoot coming round at night and seeing, you know, what is going on. How long were you there for?
2 nights.
For 2 nights.
Yeah.
The first night we got a lot of audio. I have it on my website. It's like blatant whoops, blatant tree knocks.
Yeah,
they don't come.
They were very definite, and they were coming from different directions around us.
Yeah, the whoops were like so loud. I'm like, was that you guys? Because we should have heard them, but they said it wasn't. And there was one whoop that was so loud, louder than anything. I'm like, how did we not hear that? It was like, whoop, just really, really, really loud. And on my audio recorder, it went way up, you know?
Well, he had set his recorder, he said feet, he's from the metric system. So realistically, it was about 75 yards up the ridge from our camp. So whatever, it picked up things really well at Cornell. He spent a lot of time going through there and finding the hot spots and digging them out, which and hats off to you, man. That's a tedious task, you know.
My kids were neglected.
Oh dear.
For a good cause.
Yeah, all in the name of research.
Oh yeah, Bigfoot comes first.
Priorities. Elijah, have you had an experience? Have you actually seen Bigfoot?
I've not seen one, no, not just, blatantly. That's kind of what I feel like I need to be 100%. Cornell had asked me about that when we were out there, like what percentage I believed and where he was at. I mean, I've been around my dad for my whole life, so there's been plenty of like evidence and, like I've seen the casts. I've been out there in the woods whenever, we hear whoops or hear noises and stuff. So there's a possibility. There's definitely something out there that I don't know what it is, but I'm not so quick to put a title on it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. What about so you're going again here? Have you already planned to go again? Or you
Yeah, I know Cornell's planning on coming down in the summer or so, I believe he was talking about. And I've also got and I'll give a shout out to another friend down in Southeast Oklahoma named John Hodges, who has a YouTube channel called Anything Outdoors. He had an experience up in an area down there that he and I are planning on getting together here in the next few weeks if everything works out and going to that place. So, and I like to go with when Cornell come down or Elijah, or I've got another friend that goes with me sometimes named Brian Baker. And me and Brian have been going down there for the past, since 2003 to some of these areas. But if I can't find anybody, I'll just pack up and go myself, because I'm not going to pass up an opportunity.
No, definitely not. Well, we'll get into a little bit more in a little bit because we are joined by Kerry on location. How are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
We're good.
Hey, Kerry.
Are good. Hey, Kerry.
Cornell, Dave, how you guys doing?
Good.
I've got a little better internet, I think. I watched back yesterday, and there were some really fast spots. I don't know.
No, you're totally clear.
Good. Yeah, I got my hotspot turned on now, so maybe it'll work out a little bit better. But
yeah,
doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess you guys want to update.
Well, it would be nice, unless you want to talk about the weather.
The weather's been good. I mean, we've had 5 sprinkles of rain total. So we've been very fortunate as far as that goes.
Well, let's just crack on and get on with the updates then.
All right. I'll save something. I was going to say something first, but I'll save it for the last.
Okay.
Yeah, we caught him again out here watching us in a different spot this time. Just a little troll, He's not that little, I don't think, but he was the only one we managed to get, and looks just like the little troll that I got with Mark and Melanie out in Area 1, the very first one I ever filmed on accident. Had the camera down in my lap, didn't even know it was on, and was filming this guy. And he just slowly melted back into the bushes. I mean, just really slow. And looks just like that, only his face is a little darker. And they're just out there hiding, watching us. You can see their they're probably huge apexes, and just the troll-looking face. There's no hair on their face that I've seen. I haven't seen one out here yet that has hair on its face. The one I saw didn't have hair on its face. And I think that's the problem a lot of people have, is they're looking for the Jack Link's Bigfoot, or they're looking for Harry and the Hendersons, and it's just not what they look like. To my experience, maybe there are some that do look like that, but the ones down here and the ones in South Mississippi, as far as I know, at least the one does not look like that. They look like people. They've got hair everywhere, sparse, except their face, and I'm assuming the bottom of their feet and hands. Caught him again here. The guys went out last night to one of the places down the road. few miles, and Blake caught something on camera crossing the trail in front and behind them. It's really dark. It's not. It's hard to tell what size it is. It's just outside the IR light a little, but when I get it in post, I'll be able to lighten it up and see exactly what it is. But it didn't make a sound, so I thought that was interesting. It's hard, like I said, it's not small. It's low to the ground. Low, a bit lower to the ground than a hog would be, and I don't see a hog just crossing in front of them like that, and not just, it came out, stopped, looked at them, and then went on across. But they didn't hear it, and we sat and watched it on the playback several times, and it's definitely something. So don't know what it is yet, but it's going to be interesting to find out. We're in a different mode now. We're in sit and come to us mode. We're going to go out to the place where Mark saw the 10 or 11 on the thermal, where he threw up, where they were being paralleled when he got sick when he got back to the truck, just because they were so scared trying to get out of there. We're going out there, and we're going to go pretty close to one of the dark canopies in the back. I'm not sure that anyone's been that far yet. And we're going to get our chairs and circle around and just sit there and talk and laugh and keep our thermal and night vision trained around us. So occasionally we're going to do our best not to, act like we're looking for anything, just sitting there talking and see what comes up on us.
Yeah, sounds interesting. And obviously the more time you're there, the more interested these things are going to be, and hopefully show themselves even more. You've got another day there to come. Got some couple of questions coming up. Kerry, still very curious about your thoughts on the EMF possibility.
Melanie, it's the only thing that seems plausible to me, and I'm because there is some EMF out here. Now there are high power lines, and we went out there to them the first day and was getting some spikes directly under them. But you can be out in the middle of the woods where there's no power line anywhere and get spikes. 28, 27, 28 was the highest that we saw, and you can't get that in your house at your breaker box. You might get 2 or 3, at your breaker box usually. That, at least that's what I've tested there. Maybe you can get more, but I never have. That's it's a pretty powerful signal, and so something's doing it. What it is, I don't know. Is it them? Is it ley lines? Is it some natural thing?
It's gonna be hard to eliminate things, isn't it? Just as you are at the moment. There's a limit.
Through this whole thing, I cannot say we've really learned anything. We've had experiences, we've seen, heard things. These guys went down to last night, Mark Newble and Barry Browning and Clay and their group went down to. Sorry, I thought someone had their YouTube thing on.
I think they did. I think someone did.
I just did. Sorry.
Okay. All right, Cornell.
Let him off. It's the first time.
Guys.
Sorry. They went down there, and it's this little group place, and there's no one in there. And they were at this little spot, and they see these lights in the woods. And Barry really saw it, and they're pretty sure they got it on camera. I wasn't going to talk about it just because it's lights in the woods, and if we don't have it on camera, I was really reluctant to want to put it in there. But more, 5 people saw it, so it's something. They called it an orb, You know, then that could be that moving through the woods. What that is, have no idea. And we really, until we go back and review all the audio, all the video, will we really be able to say that, to make any assertions at all. And even then they could be wrong. So I can see how researchers come out and do this and come to conclusions that they become this ubiquitous, all-encompassing thing, that because they experienced this one thing a couple of times with this group of Sasquatch, that's what they all do. And I understand now a little bit better how they come to those conclusions, that they experience these things, and well, just must be what they do. And that doesn't make it true. It just needs to be, I think, put out there a little bit better sometimes, you know, like it is a theory, because like I said, I'm not sure that we've learned anything more than we really knew already about these things. Other than that, they are here. You know, what they are, what they do, I really don't care about any of those things. You know, the only thing I really care about is that they are, and that people are aware that they are out there. To just consider it, you know, we say it all the time, is just try to pound it into people's head that you don't have to really believe. You don't have to believe in this thing. Just consider when you're out there and you hear the scream, the knock, the strange thing, that it could possibly be one of these things. Prepare yourself, because it might step out on you. You might run into it, or it might. There's just no way to know what these things are thinking or what they're going to do. I believe they're opportunists. Like I said, that's a belief. You guys were talking about seeing is believing last night, and I'm sitting here yelling at my cell phone saying, no, that's not right. Seeing is not believing. Seeing is knowing. Not seeing is believing.
Seeing is knowing. You're right. You're right. It's that word belief. Yeah. The belief, right. I mean, the belief isn't a act necessarily, but seeing is knowing. Yeah.
Not seeing is believing.
Not seeing is believing. Yeah. I guess so.
But yeah, that's my crazy brain and how it works.
Yeah,
I understand people saying that, though.
Yeah, you understand where I was coming from, though, when people say that. But I know you like to get your words right.
Literal.
Other people's words right. More rightly. Let's go on to some more questions.
Let's get it.
Yeah, there's a few down here. Sorry. Donald Fuller, Kerry, do you have any kind of DNA traps set up, hair traps, etc.?
We do. Quite a few. The guys just left to go take one down. We did the old Scott Carpenter bacon grease and backwards tape. On in several places. So we actually have found 2 hairs. They look clear. They're 4 or 5 inches long, around this crazy little thing that was built over here. Like I said, I've got to go back and look at footage from the first day to see if it was there, because we don't remember seeing it, and it's like literally just right there. A lot of weird things starting to happen when you're out actively pushing and looking at thermals and you're going through the bush. It's a lot different than when you're sitting there and waiting for them to come to you. And that's what they're experiencing. I'll say that with these lights, these orbs, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to say it's Sasquatch. I don't know. You know, I've been emailed that that's their consciousness, and how anybody would know that, I really don't know. I get a lot of emails like that. Maybe there are people that know these things, but they're yet to tell me how they know it.
Yeah, well,
I hooked up some more light today. I saw how dark it was.
I think Yeah, I think that's my fault as well for keeping you on full screen as well. You didn't even have the light from the, you know, from StreamYard from us to even light you up. But
I put my makeup light down. Why
Oh.
they have one of these on the driver's side, I don't know. That's just kind of dangerous, I think.
yeah,
That's for you ladies that
Keep
like to
looking
drive
at it.
down the highway and fix your makeup.
Oh, it's just the ladies, is it? All right.
Yeah, I don't fix my makeup till I get home. You know, I don't.
Exactly. Yours is the stay on all day thing, isn't it? Malcolm E. He says, Kerry, has there been any locals wandering around, wondering about what's going on? And if yes, have you told them?
No. Good. A guy I'd been in contact with that lives around here, Mike V. He's come out to join us, and he went out last night. He's actually from New York, but lives around here now. He was trying to guess where we were. He was off a little ways, and I just told him, I said, just come join us, man. We had lost Mark Kinchell, and Jeff wasn't here yet, so I said, just come out and join us. And he's something weird happened to them last night. They were walking down this. It's hard. It's like a bank. It's like a dam, but there's no water. A levee, I suppose. And they're walking across it, and he's got this huge light. It's like a huge mag light. It's like 2 feet long. And who was it? Was it Chris? I think Chris told me. He said, you heard 2 hits. Like something hit it out of his hand and it just went flying in front of them. And he stops them, puts his hand on them, he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, I didn't sign up for this stuff. You know, Mark Zaskey didn't say anything about stuff like this. You know, he was kind of freaked him out a little bit, understandably.
Yeah.
You know, but it's all on film, the whole thing. So I can't wait to watch. You know, I'm not there filming everything. I wasn't there for that. We took down the fake campsite today, went and picked up all that. Pretty sure we got one on camera there. Mark Zaskey, he just knows where to film. Him and Barry were checking out where they saw that light, that orb, whatever you want to call it, while we were taking the tent down and picking everything up. And we went back over there, and he had filmed in this one spot, and we went back over there, and I filmed there again, and it was gone, whatever it was. So he's got it on his phone. He didn't have a camera with him, but he's got it on his phone, and then I've got the follow-up. So I want to, when he gets a breakdown of it from his phone, I will have the follow-up that shows it's there, and then we'll show it's not there. But it was that classic shape, you know, 8 foot tall, apex, part of a shoulder, you know, just standing back there watching them. So
Wow.
Mark's pretty good at picking those things out, and Barry saw it too. So they were breathing heavy when we saw them, when we finally got to them.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, some interesting stuff out here. Like I said, we won't know. Something that I did think about that I am going to do. We are getting debriefs and interviews with people, but a lot of the stuff, especially the audio, when we go back through it, they don't really know what they have. So once we go through, I'm going to have interviews with everyone StreamYard style and put that in there. So one-on-one StreamYard style. So that just to give a little retrospective, you know, put a little distance between and give that, just give it a little bit more depth to the story. And that way I'll be able to show them what was there, and then they can go through and talk about, okay, yeah, this is what was happening here. So it's a little difficult out here when you're not really sure what you've got, especially at night. So getting these things in post and being able to amplify them, put some filters on them, and pull out, you know, exactly what it is. I'm anxious to see these orbs. They've got them several times on camera. I think they said they have it, so we'll see.
Okay, cool. Have you seen any structures? Brenda asks.
Yes, we've seen not what I would call a structure, but definitely some strange looking glyphs. Excuse me. What we have, Blake and Josh were going through a place, just through the Florida woods, and came across, it looks like tree bark. And this is out in the middle of nowhere. It looks like tree bark, but it's laid out in a pattern. It's been laid there. There's no, it didn't fall from anywhere. There's not even a tree around with that type of bark. And they documented that real well, but it's just kind of like a little X on the ground with another one laid right in the center and then a little piece coming off the side. It just looks like it was stacked there, for sure. When you see it, you'll say like, yeah, there's no way that fell in that one spot like that. It would be broadcast and spread out. So something did that, whether it was, I just doubt it's somebody, where they were just so many miles away from anyone out in, these areas where we believe no one is really going. So what it is, what it represents is anybody's best guess. But, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about when I say I doubt we've really learned anything more than maybe what works, maybe what to do, what not to do.
Yeah.
That might be but as far as their behavior and what they are and what they really are like when we are not around, I don't think we're going to figure any of those things out at all. But just all we want to do is go through the process, film the process, hopefully get something that's going to convince more people that these creatures are out there, trying to draw more people to the subject, because that's what we need in this. We need numbers.
Yeah. Well, you're giving it a good shot. I mean, and you're showing it all of how it's been done. And like you say, you're learning from the experience. That's what you're learning, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be about Bigfoot itself, but the next time you do it, it's going to be even better, and you'll be more, I don't know, more clued up, more. You'll have more time to think, won't you? More time to think.
Yeah.
How you can do it. So.
Yeah, get some distance. And I will say this, the longer I'm out here, especially being in the woods, the better it is for me. The less I use that analogy about the board being on the ground and then raising it 100 feet in the air. It's coming down. I'm not looking behind every bush now. So I'm becoming more desensitized, I think.
That's great.
To there being, maybe there is something there, but probably not.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
I had to get out here to do it.
Yeah.
For that
and you got a good safety net around you as well, with the guys there, the guys and girls there to support you. One last question. Ramil Acosta, are there any kind of vocalizations or other strange sounds? So apart from the
replies,
right?
Some replies to a few of our own screams and yells. There have been a couple of replies. We do have that. Strange whistle that the guys heard. Like I said, I haven't heard these things. I just hear them talking about them. Being paralleled and hearing things just right out there. Not sure really what it is. Not really catching anything on thermal. So that's kind of concerning to me, because we know these things heat up. They light up on thermal, just like any other warm-blooded animal does. So, and we do have some from a distance that we are pretty positive is them. Well, because when the guys start after it, it leaves. So it's obviously something watching us. I think if it were an animal, that was not really self-aware or aware at all, it wouldn't leave until they got a lot closer.
Right.
That's just how I feel about it. Could be wrong. Could be wrong about all of it. Not making any kind of claims other than what we are catching is that caveman bone structure out here watching us. I think we've got it 3 or 4 times now. We had 4 cameras fixed on it for the last 2 days, and they're not there all the time, but every now and then you catch one. This last one Mark got in the V of a tree, and it's just a little troll. I say little, it's probably massive. It's just so far away, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait. I mean, I can't drag anything else out of you. I know it's all, you know, going to come up soon on the documentary, but, you know, I can't wait. I'm sure you've got much more than what you're talking about as well. And it's...
Yeah, I'm just trying to give you guys a little something.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's just, this place is, at night, there's not a creepier place that I've ever been in. But again, that could be just me, because it's really so quiet. You know, the wind dies down. It's especially the one place that we're going out there. But again, that could be our preconceived notion taking over and putting us in that state. At least me. But you talk to any of the other guys, they'll tell you the same thing. This is a creepy place.
Well, they're out there, aren't they? So it's creepy.
Right.
Yeah.
That EMF, that gives you those feelings too. So that could be it. We're gonna keep that going. We have 2 more nights, and we're gonna finish our experiments up like this, and whatever we document, we're gonna get, and you're gonna see these guys talking about it, and that's it. Killer drone footage out here. Oh, some of the most incredible drone footage that you guys are going to get to see too. So
excellent. Well, we'll catch up with you tomorrow night, hopefully, for the last update.
Yes. And you're probably not going to see me for a little while.
No, I don't blame you.
Yeah, I'm going to defrag for about a week or so.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you.
Then we'll be back to normal again with the shows.
Cool.
So, Cornell, Dave, this is your son, David?
Yeah, this is Elijah.
Elijah. All right. Well, good deal. It's good to see you, Elijah.
You too.
We're going to be, Linda and I will be heading up to Oklahoma at some point to tell David's story. Probably this year, late fall maybe.
Cool. A lot to look forward to this year.
Yeah, we got a lot of traveling to do. But all right, I'll jet out. We're not going anywhere till 11, so I'm just gonna sit here and chill out and probably scare myself a little bit before I. It's not a hard thing for me to do, to get a little to just creep myself completely out. So.
Yeah, well, you're in a place that is creepy. That's fact. So, but you know, don't think about that.
Well, there's one thing I want to say. One more thing before I get out of here. You know, we lost Mark Kinchell day 1. His mother fell and broke her leg.
Oh,
I think she's 86.
Wow.
She passed away today.
Oh no! Oh, it's a shame.
So that's 2 of our team members that have lost a parent.
That's very sad.
Make it for that very reason. So prayers for Mark Kinchell and his family and his dad. His dad's 92. Wow. And not doing well over this. So
that is
you
a
guys,
shame.
definitely keep Mark and his family in your thoughts and prayers.
Definitely. Mark Kinchell. Jedi Squatch is his name, isn't it, in here when he comes in?
Yeah, one of the most amazing people you'd ever want to meet.
Yeah. That is a shame.
Not a lot of people out there like him.
Well, you all seem quite unique people, I think, that are out there doing that expedition with you. They're all characters in their own right. And each something different, you know, which is what you need to keep it interesting and keeping it going.
Yeah, I have 0 regrets about anybody I chose from this.
Good.
For sure.
Yeah.
But all right, I'll get out of here and let you guys have your show. Cornell, David, Elijah, you guys be good. Danielle, I'll holla.
Yeah, I'll speak to you soon. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Alrighty.
Bye.
See you, man.
Well, there we go. That's interesting stuff. I know there's so much more stuff I want him to tell us, but we're not going to be able to squeeze too much out of him. How would you fancy going on a expedition like that, Dave and Elijah? Would you go out for a week, or have you done that? Been out for quite a few days?
Yes, in the past. It's kind of hard to do. I'm self-employed. I have a business, and it's it's hard to get away for more than 2 or 3 days at the most. But I think the last time I was out for like a week was probably 17, 18 years ago. But
Oh, right. Okay.
on the good side of it, I mean, the Comanche Mountains are only about an hour's drive from where I live, so it's a quick hop.
Do you think it's more effective, though, to be in one place consistently, or can you research it over the weekends or going up there, intermittently rather than consistently?
Well, it depends on the area. Like there's areas that I go to that are pretty consistent with activity, and I keep those locations quite guarded. But then sometimes I'll go to an area where somebody has given a report, which, one of the some of the best evidence I've ever seen was in a place in the state that's not even where you would think you'd see a Sasquatch. And that was up in the plains of western Oklahoma, and that's where the casino footage comes from. Have you heard of that?
I haven't, no.
There was
I have heard of it, yeah, but I haven't seen it. I do know what you mean referring to.
Yeah, there was a reservation up in the northeast part of the state over west of Oklahoma City, and they had captured a Sasquatch coming up to a grease trap where they throw their cooking grease and trying to get into it. And I actually saw that firsthand, and we were able to measure the height of the thing at just over 9 feet tall.
Wow.
That would have been like in 2000. So I almost didn't go up there, because when it was given to me, I thought that's not a place that Bigfoot would be, and it turned out, yeah, it was.
Yeah, they seem to be all over, don't they? Even in built up areas, there's been reports that these things can be anywhere. Whereabouts are you, Cornell?
I'm up in like central Massachusetts, and there has been a lot of reports. Like on the BFRO website, there's like, a handful, but I've spoken to people that never reported it. And I would say through just talking to people, I can name 10 that weren't on the BFRO website. And I know that they're around here, There's some really good reports on Leominster, Massachusetts, Fitchburg, Ashburnham, Winchendon. That area seems to be a bit of a mini hotspot. So I've been kind of researching up around there and stuff. And I've actually met a couple of people through just doing the YouTube thing that are in my area. And we've been out to one of these places where a hunter was with his kid and they were bluff charged. I did a video on it, but we've kind of teamed up now, and we're planning to go up and see Hiker Dave NE. Have you ever heard of him? He's been on your show.
Yeah, like Dave.
Yeah,
it's great.
We want to go up and spend the night with him, and he's got a research area up there that he's quite confident that there is real activity. So I'm just addicted to this stuff at the minute. I'll go anywhere. I just can't wait to go back down to the Comanche Mountains again, because I know I'm like my BF, what do I call it? My Bigfoot believability meter went up like 5%. I'm a 95% at the minute. I can't say 100 because I haven't seen one. But man, after going there, I'm like, what else could this be?
Yeah. The way you described it, the heaviness of the foot steps.
Well, it sounded like, when you're like, I described it as someone, when you walk in tall grass and you're kind of like lift your feet, and it had that stomping sound. And like, I mean, what else could it be? And in an area that's known to have activity, I mean, it was crazy.
Definitely. Where do you think research is going to go, David? How do you think we're going to move forward? Do we want to move forward? I mean, there's a lot of, it feels like there's different camps of people who don't really want us to find Bigfoot. Some want to keep the mystery. Some want to really find out what this creature is. Where are you at with it? Where do you think we can realistically go with this?
I don't know. I think it's changed a lot in the 20 plus years that I've been into it. Like some for better, some for not. I mean, right now it's hard to find anybody that is not familiar with Bigfoot. Back a long time ago, people would see. I've ran into a couple of people that seen something and they never heard of it before. Now you don't really find that. But where's it going? All over the place, probably. I mean, who knows? I enjoy the mystery, but as Kerry said, I heard him say on one of his shows, one thing we never discuss on here is whether or not it exists. You know, so those of us who have had a sighting or seen, you know, evidence that we find irrefutable, that's not what we're doing. I'd like to find out more about it.
Definitely.
Where other people go with it, that's not for me to say. Can I answer a question that came up on the side here?
Yeah, of course you can.
Somebody asked me on there if we were down where the NAWAC did their research, and in answer to that, not real far, but that for y'all that don't know, that's the North American Wood Ape Conservancy, which is headed by a wildlife biologist named Alton Higgins and some other folks, Gary Heston and stuff. And where they're at is probably the most remote area in the state. And I've been there before several times, but it's been over a decade ago. And it's, I don't remember where I would go to get down in there is totally blocked off, and you got to go around north of it. And it's more remote than where me and Elijah and Cornell was. But it's not, as the crow flies, probably not more than 30 miles or so.
Sorry if I've missed any questions. I will just have a quick look through. Cornell, roughly. Hi, team. Cornell, whereabouts in Massachusetts, roughly?
I'm in Clinton, Massachusetts.
Okay.
So not too far from Amherst, maybe a hour and a half drive. But Amherst is west, isn't it? It's got a big college out there. I think that's what they're referring to, but it's out in Western Massachusetts. You've got the most reports out of anywhere in Mass. Right.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to read and listen to you at the same time. I'm just going to get some questions up. I always ask this question, but what are your feelings on Dogman? Have you looked into any accounts in Massachusetts? Has there been any accounts up there?
I haven't heard any.
No,
I haven't heard. Well, I'm more interested in Bigfoot because that's a hard enough sell. I'm not saying that Dogman doesn't exist, but I'm just going to start with Bigfoot, because I don't really care if anybody believes it or not. Really, I don't know what Dave's feeling about this is, but part of me doesn't really want Bigfoot to go mainstream. I enjoy the mystery. As soon as I know it exists 100%, I'm fine with that. Do I want it to become a protected species and all that kind of stuff? I don't really know. I don't really care, I love the mystery, and I love the, going looking for evidence and stuff, and
it just feel like if we find out what it is, it'll all be over. We'll stop talking about it. There won't be any more podcasts.
Well, bad actors will get involved, as always. When there's money involved, bad actors will get into the scene and muddy the waters, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
Kind of like when, like Metallica right here, when Metallica were like not as mainstream, they were better. When everybody like started to like Metallica and you started to hear them on in the supermarket and stuff, it wasn't as much fun anymore. It was like, oh, Metallica are just kind of mainstream now, and then they lost their mojo. I'm just kind of afraid of the same thing happening with Bigfoot, you know?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, just like now in Oklahoma with this, they're trying to do this hunt.
Yeah.
Hunting a Bigfoot. I just no idea how far that could go, or
well, it's very dangerous for that.
People could take it, you know.
Well, for that guy to come out and say that, and Dave probably knows more about this than I do, but for that guy to come out and say there's a bounty on a live Bigfoot, that puts the people looking for it in a really bad situation. That could turn really ugly, and he could be liable for bad things happening to people out looking. So I don't think he actually believes in it or not. I think it's just a kind of a publicity stunt.
Well, then that's potentially a bad thing. I mean, I can't find anything good to say about politicians in general, but there's one in Oklahoma that has made a trapping season and put a bounty on anyone that can catch a live Sasquatch of like $2 million. Personally, I think Sasquatch is totally safe. He's been very good at avoiding people for a long time. They have anyway. But it does, I think, set a precedence of possible dangerous situations out in the woods. If you get a bunch of yahoos out there just running around digging pits with punji stakes in the bottom of them or something. I mean, and plus, I don't want to run into any of these people that's running around thinking they're actually going to haul a Bigfoot in a cage. I mean, I can see the next episode of Mountain Monsters being in Oklahoma now, you know, and I think they're kind of a spoof show, you know.
Right, yeah.
They built the world's largest bug zapper to try to catch the Mothman. Okay, that's not.
Okay.
I laughed till I cried watching that. But anyway, I'm afraid we're going to have people that really think that they can trap one down there. By the way, hi, Live Wire. I see you popped up over on the
Hey, Mark.
Side there. Hey, Mark.
He's been in. Hi, Mark. Yeah, you're right. There are going to be some people who think they can do this, but you know what they're going to be doing, digging big holes. How do you trap a Bigfoot?
My opinion on that, and of course he's doing it in the name of tourism. That's fine, but to me, my opinion, instead of putting a trapping season on Bigfoot, which makes dangerous situations, why not just come out and call them an protected species in the state, and hey, come to Oklahoma, you may be able to see one, you know, something like that. And that doesn't set a dangerous precedent, you know.
It's messed up, isn't it? It's just messed up, all of it. None of it, you know, is just, this subject has been exploited so much by so many people. And now again, in Oklahoma, if this is a, you know, intention to bring tourism, it's just again making a mockery really of the subject. And it doesn't help, does it? It's not helping the cause. But like you say, lots of people now know about Bigfoot. If they don't, especially in America, they're either not watching TV or YouTube, because it's all over the place, I think. But I don't know. There was another question or two, I think, that I've missed because the chat is moving quite quick tonight. Tracy Lickford, do you think the EMF is related to the orbs people see? Do you think EMF is related to any of this? And are orbs related to Bigfoot?
Well, I don't have any personal experience there. However, I do know that on Mark's place from Livewire, he has had some electrical type anomalies that happen at the same time that he's had activity on his place. So whether it's related or coincidence, I mean, how many times can it happen and still be coincidence? Another fella that's strictly on the flesh and blood side named Jerry Heston, who's wrote a really good book about this. I saw him at a Bigfoot conference, and he had to admit that, related or unrelated, he has experience seeing these orbs of light in the woods in areas where the Bigfoot sightings are common. Whether they're related, I don't know. I don't have any experience with that aspect of it myself, but if you're really investigating something, and truly you need to take everything into consideration and not just throw it away because it doesn't fit your preconceived view of it.
That's true. That's true. Russell, thanks again, Russell. He says if someone goes out and hurt a Bigfoot, better pray they get out of the woods alive. I believe they travel in family pods. It's, you never know. It sounds likely that.
I agree with Russell.
Yeah. If you've had one, you've had it, haven't you? And
just to be plain, and I think Cornell's on board with me here, and I know Elijah is, I have no intention of ever trying to shoot one of these things. Ever. I do carry a firearm camping, but it's more for if you run into a criminal element, you can defend yourself, or, if you get a bear that's in a bad mood or something, you might need to hopefully just fire a warning shot to run it off. But,
what especially is going to become a problem with it being more mainstream and more people being out in the woods, there's going to be more criminal activity. I mean, just if a bigger population, more criminal. So,
yeah. I had a question then in my head, and it's just gone out there. It'll come back to me. No, sorry. It's just getting late now. I've done this for 6 nights on the trot. I wish I could remember it. Yeah, I would like to see what sort of cage would hold it. It'd have to be something pretty strong.
Jurassic Park strong. They need a team out there like that they had in Jurassic Park, like scientists and trappers and sharpshooters and stuff. It's ridiculous.
And think about it. We're talking about a creature that has managed to avoid us, except on rare occasions, for how long? In every culture just about goes back. You think some, how to say it nicely, idiot's going to go build a big
Yahoo.
It's going to stumble into it. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. And you're right, Patrick. It's not just trapping it, it's recovering it and not letting it die in the process.
Well, it's like when Dave and I were there, the terrain that we were in, I mean, you take one step forward, they take 10 steps back and just melt into the woods. Where we were was just like, there's just no way. It's so thick. And, we were in a valley and there was 2 ridges on each side. And if they were there, by the time he climbed up to those ridges, those things would be gone, That, like someone said before, you're not going to find it, they'll find you.
That's right. That's right. Dave, I know you were in touch with Livewire when he was going through all his experience out there. What advice can you give to people if they're experiencing something like Mark was with them coming on the property? What kind of advice?
Well, are you talking about with small children involved and stuff, like his own children were there?
Well, that was interesting as well, wasn't it? There was something.
Yeah, that puts a whole different spin on it, because any parent, if you have Mark has plenty of evidence, and I've seen that evidence that these creatures were interested in watching his children for whatever reason. I mean, they didn't try to take one, thank God, but first, any parent's going to want to protect their children. So taking that off the table, if it's just adults and stuff, I'd say don't panic. Just watch. Don't go shooting off wild rounds out in the woods. I think that could make things worse. And all I can do is the way I approach these things, which is just sit back and watch. I mean, Cornell's been out with me a couple of times. Man, a lot of times when it gets dark, I'll sit in camp and just listen. Like another person said, you don't find them, they find you. And I think the evidence is overwhelming that these things are curious about us, because most people that see them are not actively looking. They're going about their business of sitting by a campfire or driving down a road, or, just an accidental sighting. Now, Mark's Place, Livewire, that was the most concentrated area of activity I think I've ever been in. Because I found footprints of 3 different individuals of different sizes there. I found limb twists, plus his photographic and video evidence that he had there. It was just, you just didn't know where to start. Yeah,
there was so much going on there. I actually remember the question I had 2 minutes ago. It came back to me. We were talking before the show about, do we think they're aggressive or, because of their actions? Is it a perception of the person experiencing it, or is it actually it was interesting what you were saying about that. You don't think they're aggressive? Were you saying? Yeah.
Well, historically, if you look, and even recent, if you look at accounts, that I have looked at, I'll just put it there. Anytime there's been signs of these creatures showing signs of aggression, which nobody got killed or grabbed by one that I know of, it has been when they have been shot at or something like that, all the way back to the incident at Mount St. Helens from like the 1920s. Yeah, their cabin was attacked, but what did they do like the day before? They shot one. So, there's been other accounts of people seeing them taking shots at them and then getting rocks thrown. Now, I have had a rock thrown at me before. Small ones in this area that me and Cornell and Elijah was at. But back in 2003, we had a rock that weighed 25, 30 pounds bounced off a tree just outside of camp. Me and my friend Brian did. Now, if it had been trying to hit us with it, I think the impression we got that it was letting us know that we were there and it would rather us go away. But, that was that.
Yeah. This is an interesting one. I don't know if anyone's tried it, but what if you played the Sierra sounds really loud? Do you experiment with things like that? Would you experiment with something like that?
I don't know. I've heard the Sierra sounds, obviously, but I've not heard. The closest thing I've heard to that was kind of a guttural chatter, which Cornell picked up a little bit, and we're still kind of on the fence whether that was a smaller animals squabbling up the hill for us or not. It come from different areas, so my jury's still out on that. I haven't heard anything just like the Sierra sounds. Of course, that's in the Sierras too, and a lot of people talked about, and Kerry talking earlier, the ones down here in this part of the United States seem to be a different type than what's up north. So,
yeah. What about you, Cornell? Have you been? Do you play around with stuff in your area? Do you do your own bit of research, or are you talking to people more than anything?
Well, I've just really started this the last year or so. I just go out there with my GoPro and, leave it running and talk and see if I can find any structure. So my research is pretty timid right now. I don't stay overnight anywhere because Massachusetts is very hard to just stealth camp in. Plus, I'm not going to go out by myself and stealth camp. I'm just too scared. So most of my stuff, most of the activity that I've had is being down in the Kaimichi with Dave and his son.
Yeah, I hope Elijah is hooked on this now, and he'll go back with us. I think he had a good time.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm planning it in my head already. I want to go down there next week.
And he cooks the best steak on the campfire.
Oh, nice.
Right, Cornell? Was that good or what?
That was good. Yeah, we stopped at a grocery store and just cooked a lot of hot dogs and steaks and stuff. And when you're camping, everything tastes so much better. But yeah, the steaks turned out good. I got a nice seasoning, and maybe that's what brought Bigfoot in. I don't know.
Well, the smell of food could bring anything in.
Yeah,
more than likely. Look, guys, you'll have to come on the on Bigfoot Odyssey, Cornell and Dave and Elijah. I know it's been a bit cramped tonight because we've had Kerry on, and I'd like to get into more, a bit more of what you're doing and everything. But we have come over the hour. I want to thank you guys coming on tonight. and sharing the Bigfoot Odyssey update with me as well. I've put your links in the description. Your links have been put into the chat through the night. Guys, go and check out No Such Thing podcast. There's some good podcasts on there. And go and check out Dave's videos on Bigfoot and more. I really enjoy his uploads and the videos that he puts out. Elijah, we'll talk to you more next time you're on. We'll get into your thoughts and feelings about everything. Guys, thank you for everyone in the chat, all the mods, everybody who donated tonight. I really appreciate everything that you've done. You can tell I'm getting tired now. It's day 6 and
it's late there.
It's late. I've been, every night, 6 nights, and one more night to go. Can't wait. We've got Larry Porch on tomorrow night, Beast of the Woods. He might have some information for us because, Mark Newbilly's out there and they're good friends, and who knows, maybe we'll be able to squeeze a bit of info out of Larry tomorrow night. But until then, everyone have a good night, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having me, Danielle.